Welcome students. In this lecture we are going to study the next accelerator, cyclotron. The American physicist Ernest O. Lawrence won the 1939 Nobel Prize for Physics for this design and development of the cyclotron, the first circular accelerator. A cyclotron is somewhat like a linac wrapped into a tight spiral path. Okay, the structure of cyclotron is like a wrapped tight spiral path. Now, next we see construction. The cyclotron consists of two hollow vacuum chambers D1, D2 called Ds, which are flat and semicircular and shaped like a capital letter T's back to back. Okay, so this is first D and this is second D. These hollow chambers have their diametric edges parallel and slightly separated from each other as shown in this figure. So if you see this figure, then this is the first D, this is second D, whose plane surface are facing toward each other and curved surface are facing outward. Okay. The ion source is kept at the midpoint in the gap between the two Ds. Here is ion source. The ions to be accelerated are generated in this ion source. The Ds are connected to the terminals of the radio frequency oscillator so that a high frequency signals of several megahertz is applied between the Ds. So this is the radio frequency signal and this is connected to the two Ds. By using this radio signal, you can apply high frequency of several megahertz to the Ds. Now these Ds acts as a electrodes. In this way, the potential between the Ds is made to alternate rapidly and the electric field in the gap is directed first toward one D and then toward the other. The space within the each D is a region of zero electric field because of the electric shield effect of the Ds. The Ds are enclosed within a large metal box containing a gas at low pressure. The whole apparatus is placed between the poles of strong magnets. So this is the two pole of strong magnet which is applied across the two Ds. Okay. This strong magnet provides a magnetic field perpendicular to the plane of the Ds. Magnetic field produced by this powerful electromagnet keeps the particles moving in a curved path or circular path. Okay. Now we see the working of the cyclotron. When an ion with a positive charge Q is emitted from the source, it is accelerated by the electric field between the Ds toward the D which is negative at that instant. Since there is a uniform magnetic field B acting at right angle to the plane of the Ds, the ion travel in the circular path of radius R1. The centripetal force acting on the particle is given by, so write the centripetal force M1 V1 square upon R1 equal to BQ into V1, where this is first is centripetal force and this is the magnetic force. Okay. From this we calculate the radius R1 equal to M V1 upon BQ. Okay. Here M is the mass of the ion, B is the strength of the magnetic field and V1 is the velocity of the ion in first orbit. Right? The potential difference between the Ds constantly alternates in direction So every time the particles reach the gap, they experience a forward acceleration with the increased speed v2. It then moves in a semicircle of large radius r2 within the second d to emerge again into the gap. Within each d, the particles travel at constant speed during each half revolution. As the particle gain energy, they spiral out toward the edge of the accelerator where finally they exist. Right? The angular velocity of the ion is given by omega equal to v upon r. Right? So write this equation omega equal to bq upon m, where we have to substitute the value of this r1. That means r. Okay? So we get angular frequency omega equal to bq upon m, where v is the velocity of ion in semicircle of radius r. Right? Next, it is seen that the angular velocity is independent of the speed of the ion and of the radius of the circle in which it travels, depending only on the strength of the magnetic field and the charge to mass ratio, that is q upon m of the ion. That means here this angular frequency depends upon the strength of magnetic field B and the E by m or q by m ratio, that is charge per unit mass ratio. Okay. If therefore the electric field reverse at regular interval, each equal to the time need for the ion to make half revolution, the field in the gap is always in the right direction to accelerate an ion each time the gap is crossed. Each time the ion cross the gap, they accelerate on receive an additional kick. With the result of this, the energy of the ion is steadily increased, and the ions describe a flat spiral of increasing radius. Finally, the ions reach the periphery of the D, where they can be brought out of the chamber by means of a deflecting plates charged to high negative potential. The attractive force acting on the positive ion draw them out of the spiral path, and they can be used to bombard a properly placed target. Okay, so in figure we see here is ion finally get out of the spiral path or out from the D's and inserted on the target. Okay. Next we calculate the energy of ions. The energies of ions produced by a cyclotron can be calculated from the equation of the motion of an ion in a magnetic field. So right here again equation BQV equal to m b square upon r. Okay, again this is the magnetic force and this one is the centripetal force. Okay, so from this equation we calculate V equal to BQR upon m, and we take V square equal to squaring both sides, V square equal to B square Q square R square upon m square. Okay, here R is the radius of the outermost path at which the particles leave the machine, and B and Q are the strength of the magnetic field and charge of a particle respectively. Okay, from this we write the kinetic energy, and the kinetic energy of the ion is E equal to 1 half m V square. So we put the value of V square here. We get the kinetic energy E equal to B square Q square R square upon twice m. Okay. When particle of charge Q is accelerated through the potential difference V, it acquires the kinetic energy. So kinetic energy due to the electric field is E equal to Q into V. It is nothing but the product of the potential and charge. Okay. From equation, that means comparing these two equation of kinetic energies, we write here B square Q square R square upon twice M equal to Q into V, or V equal to B square Q R square upon twice M. So lastly we have to calculate the potential which we have to applied, V equal to B square Q R square upon twice M. This is the maximum potential that is applied between two D's. Okay. Next we calculate frequency of the RF signal. The value of the magnetic field strength cannot be chosen arbitrarily but depends on the voltage applied to the D's and must be chosen so as to give resonance. Okay. For resonance, the time taken for an ion traveling with an angular frequency, angular velocity omega to describe a semicircle within one of the D's must be equal to half the time period T of oscillation of the applied high frequency voltage. Right? So the resonance condition is pi upon omega equal to T by 2. Okay, therefore T equal to 2 pi upon omega. The frequency N of the applied voltage is given as N equal to 1 upon T, that is the reciprocal of the period. Okay. So from that equation, the equation for the frequency of RF signal can be written as N equal to omega upon 2 pi. So using equation 4.8, in equation 4.16 we get, what is the equation 4.8? 4.8 is that is omega equal to BQ upon M. We substitute this here, omega, value of omega, therefore we write here N equal to BQ upon 2 pi M. For ion with a given value of Q by M, the magnetic field needed to give response for any given frequency of the applied voltage is given by equation 4.17. Okay, it does not depend upon the radius of the D's or velocity of the ion beam, but it depends upon P, the strength of the magnetic field. The higher the frequency, stronger must be the magnetic field to give resonance. So from equation 4.17 we can write BQ equal to 2 pi MN. Okay, using in equation 4.12, that means we have to write the energy. Okay, and that energy we write here E equal to 2 pi square R square N square into M. The particles ejected out of the cyclotron not continuously but in a pulse streams. Okay. Further we see effect of relativistic mass increases. The energy of a cyclotron is limited by the relativistic increase of mass with velocity. The mass is given by the formula m equal to m naught upon root 1 minus v square upon c square, where m naught is the rest mass. As can be seen from equation 4.12, increase of mass therefore causes a decrease in the energy of the ion. Okay, that means we take the equation 4.12 from which they have concluded increase of mass causes decrease in the energy of ion. 4.12 is here. Okay, equal to b square q square r square upon twice m. That means here energy is inversely proportional to the mass of the particle. Okay, as mass increases, energy decreases. Okay. So using equation 4.18 in equation 4.8, So we write here the value of m, or put the value of m in equation 4.8. So we get the angular frequency omega equal to pq upon m naught into root 1 minus v square upon c square. Okay. From equation 4.19 it is seen that the angular velocity decreases as the velocity of ion increases. Okay. The frequency of an ion rotation then decreases. The ion takes longer time to describe their semicircular path than fixed period of the oscillating electric field, and they arrive too late at the gap between the D's. Consequently, they lag in phase behind the voltage applied to the D's until finally they are no longer accelerated. The ion velocity at which the relativistic mass increases lead to this effect represent a limiting size and energy for the cyclotron. The cyclotron therefore works successfully only with relatively heavy particles like protons, deuterons and alpha particle, and cannot be used to accelerate electrons. Okay, so with this lecture I stop here, and in next lecture we are going to study particle detectors, in which we have to consider two detectors, that is GM counter and scintillation counter, or scintillation detector and GM detector. Okay, thanks to all.